I never thought betrayal could taste like Chanel no. 5 and stale croissants, but here I was, choking on it in a cramped left bank apartment that reeked of my sister's stolen dreams. My parents had wired $80,000 for her artistic awakening in Paris, while back home in our sterile Scarsdale McMansion, they'd sneered at me over breakfast. Lucy, you're a lost cause, squandering your potential on dead-end jobs and therapy bills you can't pay. Emily deserves a shot. You don't deserve our help. That was 3 weeks ago. Their words a final gut punch before the miracle that flipped my world inside out. The scalpel's cold kiss was supposed to be salvation, a cutting-edge neural transplant from Dr. Elias Harlan, the family silver spoon neurosurgeon who'd owed Dad a favor since med school poker nights. It's experimental, he'd murmured in his Park Avenue office, eyes gleaming like he was pitching a stock tip, not rewiring souls. We'll sink your brains. Lucy, transfer Emily's stability into you. Make you whole again. Stability. As if my panic attacks and blackouts were just software glitches, not the fallout from the hit and run they buried 6 years ago. The one where Emily, high on Adderall and Daddy's blind eye, plowed her BMW into a bodega worker on a Harlem sidewalk. She walked free, I confessed to the cops. Doped on the Valium they'd slipped me, and did 18 months in Rikers for vehicular manslaughter. My life for hers, their perfect golden child. But the machine hummed wrong that rainy October afternoon in Harlan's hidden lab beneath Mount Sinai. Alarms wailed like banshees as Emily's vitals flatlined on the monitor, her body convulsing while mine lay still as a corpse. When I gasped awake, it wasn't in my scarred, tattooed shell staring back from the recovery mirror. No, it was her face. Porcelain skin, honey blonde waves, those wide blue eyes that had always mocked me from family portraits. I was Emily now, flesh and bone, her lithe frame humming with the energy I'd envied from afar. And somewhere, in the ether of crossed wires and Harlan's hubris, my old body, my real one, harbored her mind, shipped off to a private clinic in the Hamptons to recover under Dad's orders. Swapped. Stolen. A cosmic fuck you from the universe. Or maybe just the universe's way of handing me the keys to the kingdom. My first act wasn't prayer or panic, it was vengeance. Raw and unfiltered. The kind that simmers in dive bars and erupts in boardrooms. I slipped into Emily's walk-in closet in the Scarsdale house that night, after chartering a red-eye from Charles de Gaulle on her black Amex. The flight attendant cooed over Miss Harrington's elegance. I smiled her smile, all teeth and no soul, while plotting the unraveling. Dad's study smelled of scotch and cigar ash. The safe cracked open with a combination she'd whispered in a tipsy sleepover confession years ago. Our birth dates. Hers first. Inside. The file, the one I glimpsed as a teen. Yellowed pages of forged affidavits and a $200,000 hush-money receipt to the victim's family. Proof of the lie that caged me. Proof that Emily wasn't the angel, she was the devil in Lululemon. I burned it in the fireplace, watching flames lick the edges like they were devouring my chains. But that was just foreplay. The real hook sank deeper when I logged into her email from her MacBook, fingers flying over keys that felt foreign yet familiar, like wearing a stranger's skin that fit too well. There it was, Harlan's encrypted thread. Project Phoenix, contingency protocol. Not an accident. Emily had begged him for the swap, whispering in his ear at a Hamptons gala about my instability, ruining family optics. Make me stronger. Doc. Put her noise in my old shell and let it rot. Harlan, with his gambling debts and Dad's campaign donations propping up his practice, had tweaked the machine. Betrayal layered on betrayal. A family onion of rot. Paris awaited, but not as her escape hatch. I'd go as Emily. The prodigal daughter returned with a vengeance disguised as gratitude. The $80,000 tuition? I'd reroute it mid-semester, funneling it through shell accounts to the victim's widow, now scraping by in the Bronx with 3 kids and a ghost. Controversial? Hell yes, stealing from the golden goose to feed the forgotten. But in America's game of winners and losers, where hedge fund bros snort lines off interns and senators bury scandals in offshore banks, who was I to play fair? I was Lucy, the black sheep skinned as the lamb. And the wolves at the door were about to learn what happens when the prey grows teeth. The Sorbonne's cobblestone courtyards buzzed with pretentious 20-somethings clutching espresso and Foucault, but I navigated them like a ghost in Emily's designer boots. Lectures on postmodern lit blurred into white noise. My mind was a war room, sketching blueprints on napkins stained with absinthe. First target, Harlan. I'd flown him out under the guise of post-op check-in, his private jet touching down at Orly with the arrogance of a man who thought he'd engineered godhood. We met at a brasserie off Rue de Rivoli, the kind where waiters sneer if your French falters. He slid into the booth, all Botox smiles and Burberry trench. Emily. Darling, how's the new you? Any? Echoes. I leaned in, channeling her flirtatious lilt, voice like velvet over razor wire. Echoes?
Oh, Doc.
It's symphonic. But tell me, did Lucy scream when you flipped the switch? His fork clattered against the escargot plate, eyes darting like a cornered rat. Denial sputtered out. What?
No.
It was seamless. A gift, but I slid the phone across the table. Audio clip cued, his own voice from the lab feed I'd hacked via Emily's forgotten admin access. Mid-procedure murmur of contingency engaged, transfer her essence, preserve the vessel. Sweat beaded on his Botox brow. Emily, this is madness. Your father. Dad's next. I cut in, voice dropping to a hiss that turned heads from the next table. But you're the appetizer. Resign from Mount Sinai by dawn. Or this hits TMZ with your debt logs and patient waivers. Experimental therapy? Try black market soul trading. He blanched, the power broker reduced to a quivering mess, promising wire transfers to my offshore drop, $500K. Clean. For consulting fees. Controversial payoff. Extorting the extortionist. Using his own greed as the noose. As he slunk away into the drizzle, I felt the first real thrill, not joy, but the dark satisfaction of a ledger balancing in bloodless ink. Back in the apartment, Emily's, my diary spilled secrets like cheap wine. Pages of venom, my pathetic breakdowns mocked as attention-seeking theater, the hit-and-run dismissed as that spick's fault for jaywalking. But buried deeper, a bombshell, the real why behind the favoritism. Dad wasn't just a Wall Street shark. He was neck-deep in a Ponzi scheme, siphoning client funds through Emily's art foundation as a laundering front. Mom knew, turning a blind eye for the Birkins and Botox. And me, the fall guy extended beyond the crash. They'd pinned a whistleblower tip on me years prior. Anonymous email from my IP doctored to look like spite. That's why the cold shoulder. The you don't deserve mantra, a preemptive strike to discredit any future accusations. Twist of the knife. Emily's entries confessed a twisted envy. Lucy's fire. It's what I crave. If I could just borrow it. The swap wasn't just survival, it was her bid for my grit. My unyielding spine forged in their neglect. I laughed then, a hollow bark echoing off Haussmann walls. Because in stealing her shell, I'd inherited her fragility too, nights racked by phantom pains from my old scars, whispers of her vanity echoing in my skull. But weakness? I'd weaponize it. The Seine glittered like fool's gold under a November moon as I paced the Pont des Arts. Padlocks of lovers' promises clinking in the wind like ironic applause. Harlan's resignation hit the med journals by breakfast, framed as ethical reevaluation, but the whispers in or lounges would fester like gangrene. Step 1 down. But the real architecture of ruin lay in the transatlantic calls to Scarsdale. Dad's voice crackled over FaceTime from his corner office overlooking the Hudson. All bluster and Brooks Brothers.
Emily.
Paris treating you like the star you are? That Sorbonne prof emailing about your thesis, brilliant. Kiddo. I mirrored her bubbly cadence.
Oh.
Daddy. It's transformative.
But.
Lucy's been asking questions. From the clinic. About the procedure. Silence. Thick as fog off the river. Then the pivot. Smooth as a lobbyist's lie. Sweetheart. Don't worry your pretty head. Your sisters. Adjusting. Harlan says it's temporary glitches. Glitches. As if my mind and her body wasn't the glitch. The whole damn experiment a Frankenstein farce cooked up in boardrooms where ethics were optional add-ons. I pressed, voice lilting with faux concern. But what if she remembers? The crash. The payoffs. Everything. His face hardened, pixels sharpening into the man who disowned me at the sentencing. Emily. Enough. Focus on your future. The $80Ks just seed money. Think empires, not echoes. Empires. That's what he'd promised her at 18. Over caviar at Le Bernardin. While I bussed tables at a midtown deli to fund community college. The empire built on my bones. The crash cover-up had bought his Senate run. Whispers of tough on crime, masking the blood on his hands. I'd borne the manslaughter rap. The parole officer visits. The job apps shredded for felon status. Emily? Straight A's. Internships at MoMA. Now this Parisian polish to cap the resume. Deep betrayal wasn't just the money, it was the erasure. Me as the family scapegoat. A living cautionary tale to keep her halo burnished. I hung up, adrenaline spiking like bad espresso, and boarded the Eurostar to London that dawn. Emily's passport cleared customs with a wink from the officer. Privileges passport. Literally. There. In a Mayfair solicitor's office smelling of tea and trust funds, I met Victor Lang. The ex-SEC investigator Dad had buried with a mutual separation. Lang was a ghost of whistleblower wars. Gaunt and graying, nursing a pint in a pub off Fleet Street when I tracked him via Emily's neglected LinkedIn ghosts. Miss Harrington, he rasped over shepherd's pie, eyes narrowing at the family resemblance he couldn't place. Your father's schemes? Water under the bridge, until it's not. I slid him the USB. Harlan's audio laced with Ponzi spreadsheets I'd reconstructed from Emily's cloud backups. Make it not, I said, voice steady as the Thames. Controversial alliance, teaming with a disgraced Fed, feeding him ammo from the inside. Lang's grin was wolfish, scarred by years of lost pensions and death threats. This hits the wire services. It's Armageddon for Harrington Holdings. But why risk the fallout? Blood's thicker. I met his gaze. Emily's blues turning feral. Blood? It's ink on a ledger. And mine's been read too long. By week's end, leaks sprouted like weeds in the Financial Times op-eds. Harrington's hidden hand, from crash cover UPS to market mayhem. Dad's stock dipped 8%. Boardroom panic rippling to the Hamptons estate where my real body, Emily's mind piloting it, stewed in sedated stupor. I imagined her in there, clawing at mirrors, screaming my name in a voice that was mine. The thought curdled sympathy. She'd engineered this cage swap. After all. But mercy? Not in my vocabulary anymore. Paris called me back. The Sorbonne midterms a farce I aced with her photographic memory. Freeing nights for deeper digs. Mom's emails pinged incessantly, worried emojis. Queries about the family drama clipping your wings. Darling. Wings. As if I were the fledgling, not the caged bird she'd clipped herself. I replied in character. All air kisses and atelier anecdotes, while wiring chunks of the $80,000 tuition to the victim's widow, Maria Ruiz. Her Bronx walk-up was a world away from Scarsdale sprawl, peeling paint, sirens at midnight, kids in threadbare uniforms. I'd visited once, post-parole, bearing apologies that tasted like ash.
Now.
Anonymous Venmo drops, $5K here, $10,000 there, came with notes. For the boy who loved soccer. From a ghost who knows. Controversial restitution, laundering their dirty money for quiet justice, blurring lines between thief and redeemer. Maria's replies, hesitant, at first, bloomed into gratitude. Dios te bendiga, whoever you are.
God bless.
If only she knew the devil in disguise. Harlan's downfall accelerated mid-December. His license yanked after a Times expose tied the swap to unethical enhancements for elite clientele. Celebrities distanced, lawsuits loomed. But he didn't go quiet. A burner call from Zurich. Lucy, you bitch. Emily's fading in that shell, the sink's unraveling. And this, or I expose you both. Expose. As if his sins weren't already viral. I laughed into the void. Do it,
Doc.
Let the world see the monster you midwifed.
Click.
The line died, but the threat lingered. A shadow in my peripheral as holiday lights twinkled along the Champs-Élysées. Christmas Eve. I flew commercial, Emily's Amex flagged for suspicious activity, into JFK's chaos. Snow whipping like confetti from hell. The family jet was grounded, Dad's empire wobbling on canes of contingency funds. Scarsdale glowed with festooned excess, twinkling evergreens. Caterers in tuxes prepping foie gras. I arrived as the prodigal, fur-trimmed coat swirling, bearing absinthe from a Montmartre distillery. Mom air-kissed, eyes glassy from Pinot. Dad clapped my shoulder, grip iron but voice frayed. Emily girl. Timing's perfect. We need you now. Press is circling like vultures. My real body, her in it, lurked upstairs. Medicated haze dulling the eyes that were mine. She mumbled at me through the banister.
Sis.
It itches. Make it stop.
Itch.
The dissonance of stolen synapses. I nodded, all sisterly concern, while slipping a USB into Dad's overcoat pocket during the toast. It held everything, the crash forensics I'd subpoenaed via Lang's contacts, Ponzi ledgers cross-referenced with IRS leaks, even Mom's therapy notes confessing complicity in the frame job. To family, Dad boomed, clinking Waterford crystal. To ruin, I echoed silently, sipping bubbly that burned like bile. Dinner devolved into damage control, Dad ranting about deep state smears, Mom popping Xanax like Tic Tacs. Emily, Mies shell, stumbled down midway, slurring accusations that drew gasps. Lucy's coming. She's in my skin. Laughter rippled. Uneasy. Chalked to med side effects. But I saw Dad's flicker, fear, not dismissal. Later, in the powder room mirror, Emily's reflection taunted, flawless, yet fracturing. Migraines pulsed, memories bleeding, her prom night joy crashing into my Rikers lockdown despair. The swap wasn't holding, Harlan's warning rang true.
But retreat?
Not an option. Vengeance was a freight train now, barreling toward the cliff. New Year's dawned gray and unforgiving over the Hudson. The ball drops cheer a mocking echo as Harrington Holdings shed another 12% on NASDAQ. Dad's war room, our great room, transformed with whiteboards and takeout detritus, hummed with crisis consultants in rumpled Armani, barking into Bluetooths about reputational firewalls. I played the dutiful daughter, brewing French press in Emily's cashmere sweater, eavesdropping on calls to fixers in D.C. But my real work unfolded in the basement rec room. Once my teen exile, now a digital bunker lit by laptop glow. Lang's feed streamed live, SEC raids on Dad's Tribeca Pi de Terra, agents carting servers like pallbearers at a funeral. The crash file had cracked everything open. Maria Ruiz's husband, Javier, father to a boy left paraplegic, had died last spring. Quietly. From untreated complications the settlement covered. No headlines. Just another statistic in America's underbelly, where immigrant lives dissolve like sugar in the rain. I'd funneled $40,000 of Emily's tuition by then. Enough for adaptive tech and private PT. But it was crumbs.
Now,
with the ledgers exposed, Ruiz's estate lawyers smelled blood, filing civil suits that tied the hit-and-run to the Ponzi as pattern of fraud. Controversial escalation. I'd anonymously tipped them, merging personal vendetta with public reckoning, forcing the family to face the human wreckage they'd steamrolled. Mom cornered me in the kitchen that afternoon, her Botox mask cracking around the edges. Voice a whisper shrill. Emily, what's happening? Your father's unraveling, talking divorce, bankruptcy. And Lucy. God. She's like a zombie up there.
Zombie. Apt.
For the husk harboring her daughter's soul in my battered frame. I stirred sugar into her chamomile. Slow and deliberate.
Mom.
Maybe it's karma. For all the lost causes we buried. Her eyes widened. Teacup rattling. What did you say? I leaned close, dropping the act. My Lucy's, edge slicing through Emily's silk. You let me rot for her. For the empire. Now watch it crumble. She recoiled, hand to throat like a Victorian swoon. Lucy? Oh, Jesus, no. The doctor said. Panic clawed her face. Foundation caking in sweat. I grabbed her wrist, nails digging crescents. Harlan lied. We swapped. I'm in her. She's in me. And I'm ending this. Mom sagged against the island, sobs muffled in a dish towel. Confession poured. The frame job was her idea. Post-crash hysteria to protect the brand. Emily's Adderall binge, Mom's prescription, pilfered from her own vanity case. We thought it'd fix you, make you more like her.
Fix.
As if I were the broken one, not their mosaic of manipulations. Upstairs, Emily and me raged, pounding walls with fists too small for the fury. Give it back. My life, my Paris. I entered calm, locking the door. Her, my old eyes wild in that familiar face. Your life? You stole mine first.
Eminência.
The crash. The blame. Then this freak show for a stronger you. She lunged, but the sedatives dulled her. I sidestepped easy, pinning her with words sharper than restraints. Feel it? The blackouts. The doubts. That's me seeping through. Your perfection's cracking. Tears streamed. Mascara rivers. I was scared.
Luce.
Dad's pressure. I wanted your fire without the mess.
Fire.
The spark they doused. Now inferno in borrowed bones. I left her curled, dialing Lang from the hall phone. Old school rotary. Untraceable. Ramp it up. Full disclosure on the swap. Harlan's logs. The whole circus. His chuckle was gravel. You're playing with napalm.
Kid.
This torches innocence, too. Innocence.
Mom.
Maybe the staff. The distant cousins. But in America's meritocracy myth, where the powerful preach bootstraps while yanking ladders, collateral was the cost of truth. Controversial calculus. One family's fall to lift the forgotten. Debatable as any drone strike in the name of justice. Dad burst in at dusk. Snow-dusted overcoat shedding flakes like alibis. Emily, pack your things. We're liquidating. Heading to the vineyard till it blows over. Vineyard. The summer estate. White shingled escape where he'd taught her to sail and me to hide bruises from his belt. I stood firm in the foyer. Emily's heels clicking authority. Blow over?
Dad.
It's biblical. The Ruiz suit's got teeth. Javier's kid testifying on CNN tomorrow. His face purpled. Vein throbbing like a telling poker. How do you, Lucy? You little snake. Revelation hit like a slap. He lunged. But I was faster. Harlan's enhancements lending her frame unnatural grace. We grappled. Crystal vase shattering in the melee. Shards glinting like accusations. You ruined us, he roared. Breath scotch hot. For what? A dead man's grudge? I need him low. Buying space. Voice steel. For truth. You bought silence with my freedom. Her tuition. Now pay the principal. Sirens wailed distant. Neighbors 911 from the crash of glass. Cops arrived to a tableau. Dad cuffed on the Persian rug. Mom hysterical in pearls. Emily me babbling incoherently upstairs. I slipped out the back. Into the blizzard. Emily's coat a shroud. Hailing a cab to Penn Station. The climax brewed on the Acela to D.C. Lang's war room, a nondescript K Street walk-up stacked with monitors and Red Bull cans. You're livin' 5, he grunted, adjusting my lav mic. Not as Emily, the mask cracked, but Lucy. Unfiltered. Scars bared in a borrowed blouse. The presser was electric, cameras flashing like St. Elmo's fire. Reporters from Walpo to Fox baying questions. MS. Harrington, or is it Lucy? Can you confirm the body swap allegations? I leaned into the podium, heart thundering but voice steady. Midwestern grit honed in Rikers rec yards. Not allegations, facts. My family traded my life for theirs, a cover-up crash, a fraudulent empire, and a doctor's knife to fix the fallout. Emily's in my body now, paying for her sins. I'm here to testify, not hide. Gasps rippled. Tweets exploding in real time. Dad's lawyer scrambled, but the dominoes tumbled. SEC indictment sealed at midnight. Ruiz's suit fast-tracked to federal. Controversial spotlight. Outing the swap-turned-freak show. Humanizing the monster while dehumanizing the elite. Emily's socials, now mine, lit up with trolls and theorists. Frankenstein family. Karma's a bitch in Lululemon. I didn't care, the hook was set. Reeling them into the abyss. But vengeance's aftertaste is ash. In a Georgetown motel that night, migraines crescendoed. Emily's memories assaulting like intruders. Her first kiss under Eiffel arches, mine now. Dad's rare praise for a watercolor. Doubt crept, had I become the villain? Torching bridges for bridges burned? Lang knocked. Bearing takeout and a flash drive. One more twist.
Luce.
Harlan's suicide note. Dropped this morning. Says the swap was Emily's pitch. But your mom greenlit the frame.
And.
Something about a half-sibling. Half-sibling. The ledger unbalanced again. Dawn broke over deceased marble monuments like a hangover. The Lincoln Memorials gazed stern as I trudged foggy-bottom sidewalks. Emily's boots caked in slush. The half-sibling bombshell nod. Harlan's note. Scrawled in a Zurich penthouse before the pills. Alleged dad's affair with a campaign aide me. The legitimate daughter. Emily the spare from a shotgun wedding cover. No, reverse. I was the indiscretion. Born to mom's college fling with dad's partner. Adopted into the fold to legitimize the merger. Emily, the bio-heir. But fragile, hence the favoritism. The $80,000 armor against my tainted, blood-exposing cracks. Twist inverted, the betrayal wasn't just parental, it was existential. They'd groomed her as the facade. Me as the sacrificial lamb. The crash blame a rehearsal for discarding the mistake. My blackouts? Not trauma. Genetic echoes of the partner's schizophrenia. Buried in psych evals they'd sealed. The swap? A desperate bid to purify the line. Transplanting Emily's pure, neural map into my body for a clean succession. Harlan's hubris. Yes. But mom's directive. Make her us. Not him. I wasn't the black sheep. I was the wolf in they'd tried to shear. Lang's safe house became command central. A basement lair off DuPont Circle, where printers' word manifestos and pizza boxes piled like Jenga. This reframes everything, he said, pinning photos to corkboard, mom's old sorority pics, dad's law school yearbook with the partner's ghost. You're not victim, you're the rightful heir. Ponzi proceeds? Half yours by blood.
Heir.
The word stuck like burrs, complicating the revenge arc. I torched the empire for justice. Not inheritance, yet here was karmic payback. Controversial as reparations in a nation built on stolen land.
Take it?
Rebuild on Ruiz's behalf. A foundation for crash victims? Or burn the remnants? Salt the earth? Emily and me deteriorated fast. Transferred to a psych ward in White Plains under Harrington Family Trust alias. Visits were surreal. My face snarling back from the other side of plexiglass. Doped eyes pleading. Loose, end it. I feel you. Eating me. Eating. The neural bleed was mutual. I'd black out in congressional hearings. Waking to her prom playlists looping in my skull. Doctors, real ones. Not Harlan's cronies, warned of cascade failure. Synaptic rejection imminent. Reversal window closing. Reversal. The nuclear option. Another surgery to flip us back. But at what cost? Her mind frayed. Mine scarred anew? Dad's trial loomed in February. A circus in Foley Square, suits and spectators jockeying for seats. Protesters outside chanting, "Justice for Javier." He took the stand broken. Silver fox hair unkempt. Voice cracking on the Ponzi confessions. I did it for them, for my girls. Girls. Plural. Mom testified next. A ghost in Chanel. Admitting the frame. Lucy was expendable. To protect Emily. Gasps echoed. I sat front row. Emily's locket, our shared childhood relic, twisted in my fist. When her eyes met mine. No apology. Just hollow defeat. The jury deliberated 3 days. Verdict, guilty on all counts: fraud, conspiracy, manslaughter facilitation. Sentence, 25 to life. No parole. Empire ashes. Scattered on Wall Street winds. Mom got house arrest. Emerald bracelet swapped for ankle monitor in Scarsdale exile. Emily me. Deemed incompetent. Committed indefinitely, my body a vessel for her unraveling psyche. I visited one last time. Post-sentencing. The ward's antiseptic sting a mirror to Riker's chill. Sis, she whispered. My old tattoos stark on her arms.
Take it.
The money. The name. Make it mean something. Her hand in mine felt like grasping smoke. The bleed had stolen her fire, leaving embers of regret. The reversal surgery was scheduled for March equinox. Harlan's notes reverse-engineered by a NIH team hungry for redemption. I signed waivers in a Bethesda or anteroom, gowned and groggy. Maria Ruiz at my side, now an ally. Her boy's braces gleaming from tuition funds. You gave us wings. Mija, she said, hugging fierce. Controversial coda, forgiving the unforgivable, or strategic mercy, freeing me to rebuild without ghosts. The machine hummed true this time. No alarms, just a velvet pull. Souls disentangling like threads from a knot. I woke in my body. Scars itching home. Lucy again in full. Emily stirred opposite. Her frame frail, but eyes clearing. Hers. Not mine.
I'm
Sorry, she croaked. First words unscripted.
sorry.
A word too small for the chasm. Yet it bridged something. We didn't hug. Words weren't enough. But in the recovery haze, I whispered, fight for it.
Eminencia.
The real you, not the mask. Months blurred. I claimed the half-legacy. $2 million in frozen assets thawed for the Javier Ruiz Foundation, grants for immigrant safety nets. Crash victim advocacy. Controversial triumph. Profiting from pain to heal it. A phoenix from Ponzi flames. Dad rotted in Otisville. Mom faded into therapy and Tai Chi. Emily, released to supervised living in Brooklyn. Painting abstracts that sold at Chelsea galleries raw. Ugly beauty born of breakage. Ending? Debatable as any American dream. Justice served. But at the cost of family fractured. Bodies borrowed and returned like library books overdue. I walk Manhattan now, unencumbered. But the itch lingers, not scars, but questions. Was revenge redemption? Or just another swap? Did I win? Or merely survive the handoff? The Saints croissants still haunt my coffee dreams. A reminder, in the land of second chances, the first betrayal cuts deepest. And sometimes, the only way to react is to become the storm.